to Belmont Bunch. Today, I'm rejuvenated, I'm excited, and we're going to talk about what the Islanders could do to kind of fit some of their players in. I'm always reluctant to do these videos too early because with the expansion draft, moves are expected to be made. In some teams' cases, they have to be made. You saw Victor Arvidsson move to LA the other day, and that was to allow, one more protection spot for Nashville. So the Islanders could be doing something like that. Although I don't see a lot of guys that are going to be easy to move. Although, where there's a will, there's a way. Sometimes these GMs, they get very creative. And sometimes they get very not creative. But Lou's going to have to be really creative. I have here some cap notes on how to turn $75.7 million, which is where the Islanders' current cap hit is at this moment for next year, and how to turn it into more money. So let's get into it. 81.5 is expected to be the cap again, flat cap because of COVID. Money is not being made as well. Expect those helmet sponsorships to continue. Actually, I think that's already been announced. But either way, the Islanders, not a lot of cap space. A little bit under $5 million, and you have to sign my color-coded board, RFA, and the two, UFA, and blue is signed for next year at least. So, big three, obviously. And then these guys, I think Dal Cole gets the league min. He's a replacement level player. Bellows, we'll talk about Bellows. I have a thought on what could happen with Bellows. But let's start with the RFAs because that's where the Islanders are going to have to start. So, obviously, less than $5 million is not enough to sign 3 good RFAs. Here's what we do. We put Boychuk on a long-term IR, and it's not the Robida Island situation that, people always clamor about. It sounds like his career was legitimately cut short with that eye injury. He said he couldn't see, I think it was Matheson who ran over him in the playoffs 2 years ago. He couldn't even see him out of the corner of his eye, so his peripheral vision apparently is pretty bad. I'm really excited for the possibility of Johnny Boychuk being like a coach, a trainer for the team. Anyway, so that's $6 million right to LTIR, and it's only for 1 year, so that's good. So that's $6 million saved. You have Andrew Ladd. At this point, I really don't see a trade. He still has 2 years, I believe, on his deal. He signed for 5.5. Burying him, which is what I think is the only solution at this point, gets it down to 4.375. So you save a little over $1 million. And then the toughest one, but given the circumstances, you have to do it, a Thomas Hickey buyout. And that would save the Islanders 1.666. Repeating. Although it doesn't repeat forever because, you only go down the cents. 1.6 million would be saved this year. You'd be losing 833K next year. That's how that buyout works. Thanks for Cap Friendly, by the way, for making this so much easier. So the Islanders got to deal with the now, and also that's a decent buyout. That's, you're saving a decent bit when every dollar counts for this year. You have to do what you can, and that 833K, it kicks the can kind of down the road, and you can deal with it next year. And also, it's not the biggest hindrance. So that's a good buyout. By the way, if you don't know how a buyout works, Thomas Hickey he'll have 1 year left on his deal going into next year. So if you buy him out, it doubles. You pay him double what the contract is left. So you pay him over 2 years what he would have been paid. And the Islanders save some money. I know there's a lot of there's contracts that can be like buyout proof. Andrew Ladd's is that way because the Islanders they don't save like more than $600K if they buy him out, and they'd be paying him forever. So it just doesn't make sense to buy out Andrew Ladd. And you don't have to buy out Johnny Boychuk because you put him on LTIR. The Islanders announced that Andrew Ladd is healthy, so he is not getting bought out. So it's a lucky trade, or you bury him, and it's probably burying him. So with all of that cap work done, Boychuk, Ladd, Hickey, $69 million. Nice. That's how much the Islanders are spending at that point, 69.17. So now you have $12,328,332 left. That is doable. We can do this. Interesting with Pelech. I think he is the most essential one to sign. He is your number one D guy. He had a decent offensive year, which I think I even forgot about. I went back and saw he had 14 points in a 56-game season. That is excellent, and he's obviously the best defensive player on the team. So that you have to nail him down. And what we've seen so far out of contract signings, and we saw it again with Eriksson Ek yesterday. Guys are taking term. So for right now, it seems you want that certainty of that dollar. Makes sense. With COVID, like things are up in the air, and players are just looking for some sort of security. And 8 years seems to be the go-to on some of these long-term homegrown deals. And for Adam Pelech, you want to stretch the term out because you want the cost to go down, and that's what Minnesota did, and that deal could end up being incredible. And for the Islanders, I think you even know more about Adam Pelech than you know about Eriksson Ek, since he's a little bit older. Adam Pelech, 26 years old. So what I do in my hypothetical contract was 8 years. There's a fly. Get out of here. 8 years, $5 million per. Now, I think he could get up to $6 million. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes. I have him between $5 and $6 million. Between 4 and 6. I have him at $5 million per. And it's a little bit. You're hoping for a slight discount, although I think $5 million is in the range of what he should get. It's close to what Pulock is getting, although Pulock, he might have an extension. Well, he's due for an extension soon. So that's what we got to deal with just now. So second is Anthony Beauvillier. You know what? We might skip over him. We might go straight to Sorokin because we're going in order of importance. And no offense to Bo, but you only get 2 goalies. Goalies are important. And this is a goalie you took years to get overseas. And for Pelech, he's the best defenseman on the team. Arguably one of the best players on the team. Probably not arguably. Shut up. So for Sorokin, I think it's another. He kind of got, well, not even a bridge deal because it was a 1-year deal this year. It was just to get what they could. I have 2 years, $3 million per. He got a 1-year, $2 million deal. He's due for a bit of a raise because he played pretty well and he had playoff experience and good stuff from Sorokin mostly. I know early on I was a little bit hard on him on his rebound control, but I think that got better over the course of the year. So, I think 2x3, it's a bridge. The Pelech one is like the big homegrown deal because I think it's the most important player at the moment. I think once Varamov's gone, then you can commit to Sorokin with money. But Beauvillier now. So at this point, we have $8 million in cap space. So we have used $8 million. We have $4 million left, 4.3 in my reality. And Anthony Beauvillier, I looked up 28 points this year. Decent year. Once again, he seems to be more of a playoff guy. And in the regular season, he could be frustrating. And I think the Islanders are going to remember that when they go to contract talks. And for Bo, he said he wants to be here. I mean, what are you going to do? Say you don't? Fly's still there. I looked up some comparable stats to him, and I saw Ricard Raquel, who also had 28 points this year. And from what I've seen, can be fickle in the regular season as well, although he doesn't really have much he can do in the postseason because the Ducks don't get there. So I think something in that realm, a little bit of a bridge. Now that contract, when contracts are signed, is a big part of it. Now he's strafing me. And that was signed, that was a 6-year deal with $3.7 million. That was a weird deal, so it's hard to compare. But it was one of the closer ones I saw, and it being the players having the same amount of points this year, and I think being somewhat similar, gets me at 3 years, 3 per for Anthony Beauvillier. He's only 24, so you come out of that, you're still 27. You still have a chance for a big deal. So that was my thinking behind that. And for Sorokin, he's only 25, still got time for a big deal. And for Pelech, this is your big deal. But let's see, 8 years. Yeah, he might get one more after that if he's like CC Sabathia and he's worth it. Yankee video coming, don't worry. So yeah, that leaves us with like $1 million in cap space maybe. And so for me, at that point, Hickey's gone. Dalcole's come back maybe for league min. I think Bellows is a big target to go in the expansion draft. And this puts you in a weird spot. So you might have to call up a guy like Samuel Bolduc from the minors, or you get Green at league min. Coburn, I think, is gone. Hickey is gone. In my scenario, it's pretty rough. That's why in my scenario, no trade has been made. There's going to have to be a trade made. This video was mostly for the purpose of just to get you to understand what a weird spot we're in with cap, some of the stuff that we're going to have to do to create space. And like a guy like Palmieri, which it sucks because now you think they just didn't have enough offensively again, and that was with Palmieri, and now you're losing him for nothing. And you might lose Cizikas. Cizikas, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I know there was that thing where he sold his house on Long Island, but he's got, I think he was just, somebody else said he's just looking for a house. I don't take any stock out of that because it's not from official channels or, Arthur Staple or, reporters like that. Anyway, in my scenario here, Oliver Wahlstrom, step right up, bud. It is time to claim your role back from before Palmieri came into the lineup. I think, a lot of people would probably want to move Everly and try to find a Palmieri deal. I wouldn't, that wouldn't be bad. Everly hasn't looked great. I think the Islanders I think they're going to expose Leddy instead, but I'm going to do a separate video for the Kraken stuff. So for now, just as an idea, we signed these three. We put Boychuk on LTIR. We bought out Hickey, and we buried Ladd. And it got us our RFAs back, but it left hole here, and I don't consider this a hole yet because I think Wahlstrom looks good, and he's getting there, and he's, get a full year of experience in there as the third line winger. Or, I think if at any point Everly's really struggling and you still have him, drop him to the third. Bring up Wahlstrom. Let's see what happens. Anyway, but that's projecting pretty far ahead. And I can't even think about what's happening now. So anyway, that is the video. Let me know what your preferences are on what you would do with this lineup, what you would do to create cap space. Try to make it realistic. We're not trading Andrew Ladd and getting a third back as a cap dump. If the guy, this is at that point, kind of like in NHL, whatever video game, when you try to sell his contract, and now the AI is a little bit better, and you go, Ladd for a 7th, and you take on $5.5 million, and they're like, no. So there's no deal that can be made with, and that's not reality. Maybe there is, but it would take a lot of work, a lot of moving parts, and it would have to be one of the teams, hugging the cap floor. And maybe the Kraken would do that. I did hear that the Kraken were looking for more to build up in free agency. There is an Ovi in this class, guys. So maybe they're just looking to straddle the cap floor, and you get them to take Andrew Ladd. Problem is, you can't do a Grabowski-like deal because we don't have a first to give them this year. You could give them the first next year, but eventually you want to make first-round picks. I know you're in win-now mode, but you do have to kind of restock the shelves in the minors, especially if you're going to lose, hypothetically, Bellows to the expansion draft. Anyway, yeah, so that's the video. Thanks so much for watching, and keep an eye out. I got a Yankee video coming, and then we're going to be coming back to the Islanders for the expansion draft video. All right, bye!